Before we start, I just want to say that these are not near-death experiences. They are more like spiritually transformative experiences. With that said, they are indeed confusing. I drank liquid paraffin in an attempt to end it all at about 2 or 3 in the morning. I then went back to bed. Simple, or so I thought. Sometime later, after waking and throwing up, I cleaned myself up. I was in the greatest physical pain I have ever known, so I called 911. I have the memory of being taken to the hospital. I was telling the doctor the ambulance drivers were rude, which was an understatement. I remember him answering that it was more important to get me okay than to take care of rude ambulance drivers. I told him I drank liquid paraffin, asked him for a painkiller, and passed out. I was taken to the hospital immediately. I was cyanotic, blue, no air. I don't know if I was clinically dead or not, but what I do know is that I was in a coma for 3 weeks. During these 3 weeks, I lived another full life. At that time, I saw that my father had to choose which of the 3 personalities he wished to raise. He had essentially 3 versions of me to choose from. 1, beautiful and stupid. 2, irrecoverably damaged. Or 3, me as I exist today, the fixable one. Number 3 was his choice for this altered reality. I was observing the choosing part in the 3rd person. For the rest of the experience, it became a first-person experience. I was 14 again. Briefly, talk about scary. Somehow, I got to experience love at first sight and have it returned. I met my husband, Kieran, and we got married in my altered state. He was my cousin, the 3rd son of the 2nd cousin of my mother, enough to make an anthropologist say it was okay. He was much younger than I, and he was 5 feet 11 inches tall. He came from a Lake Erie family of Scottish origin. Their renowned family business of ship and boat builders had been in existence for at least 3 generations. All the vessels they built were made of wood, even after the advent of fiberglass. The family was well known for their wooden artwork, and as such, were also asked to sculpt a large commemoration for a somebody. My husband had taken over the family business when his father and 2 older brothers had gone to war. My husband's father and brothers were on submarine duty together. For years, they were lost, then they were found. All were okay, but I wouldn't swear to their mental health. The family politics were not good. There was not another happy person to be found, anywhere. My family chose to leave. His father was one of the most obnoxious people I have ever met. His mother was a sophisticated cretin. One and all hated me. I really couldn't understand the depth of the feeling, and I still don't. Also, there was an accident, and my husband lost his right arm while building a new ship. This was some time before I met him. I can't envision him not being whole, despite that he insists it is the truth. When I remember lying in bed with him, there is no problem with one side or the other. But there should have been. My wedding was beautiful, even if it was somewhat rushed. I was not pregnant. The sisters and brothers, and the rest of his family, were there. My ring was his mother's wedding ring. He asked me if his mother's ring was acceptable. I knew it meant so much to him, so of course, I said, yes. We had calla lilies and white roses everywhere. Despite the family animosity, we loved each other, and they respected him enough to give us the wedding of anyone's dreams. The bridesmaid dresses were the best I have ever seen. They were not off the rack. They were the salmon pink of ladies' underthings in the 30s with 3/4 sleeves, longish ballerina skirts, jewel collar in front, a deep V ending in a very lazy southern bow with short tails. My dress was much the same, but I was a widow before marrying Kieran. I am a widow in this life also, and the color was cream. I'd like to say he wore an afternoon dove-colored tux, as that would have been more in keeping with the times. But it was a very deep gray, or perhaps even black. Either way, I've never seen a man look more wonderful. The most important thing was the feel of his lips right after the ceremony, loving and hungry and full of promise. I knew what to expect, but I never suspected a man to convey the hope and trust of the present and the future, in a breath, in a small moment. It was all there, he and I, whatever would be. I have to say that I have never loved, given, or been loved in that way. I cannot forget, nor would I wish to. In this plane, I know of no such person. I've been widowed for 15 years this year, 2002, and a second marriage is not on my to-do list. No criticism regarding the institution itself. After I returned to this state, I went through a quite normal grieving process of having to leave Kieran behind. I still have a sensation that it wouldn't be unusual at all to turn a street corner, and there he'd be. Now that I am here, in this reality, sometimes he is so extremely present that I have to turn around to make sure he's here and not there. Considering world events, it feels like I've entered the third reality sometimes. During the first 3 months after my experience, I had to make up my mind which reality was the real place. The temptation to return was nearly overwhelming at first. That is not the end of my journey, but what woman in her right mind wouldn't want a love such as that? There have been times when the desire is so strong in this life, I think my heart will break. That does it for our first experience, moving right along into our second experience of the video. No, I'm not a cat, but people who come across my circumstances seem to think that I have 9 lives. I've been shot, run over by a 1-ton truck, fractured my skull, operated on various times, and am still walking and talking. All of these things have happened to me and have been well documented. One of my near-death experiences was manifest in an ambulance en route to Lexington, Kentucky. I had fallen from a 3-story building, and my neck and head were swollen. I felt a lot of pain, and then I felt like I had just woken up in unfamiliar surroundings until I realized where I was. The realization I received was combined with a sudden awareness of every living soul around me, beginning at my immediate center and flowing outward, inward. I was part of a larger picture. Then I sensed the 3 souls in the ambulance with me. I sensed their presence, love, hearts, emotions, feelings, and physical mental states. I heard their thoughts and felt their caring hands. I looked through each of their eyes and saw not only their immediate physical future, but their past as well. I also noted animals and other souls around me, such as an angry bus driver in Seattle, a lady killing an annoying spider in Ripley, West Virginia, and a bug hitting a train in Oklahoma. All of these feelings were felt in a split second and seemed like an eternity. I felt love, hate, famine, awe, destruction, revolution, caring, hope, and a ton of other feelings. What was so funny is that I realized the purpose of it all. I understood the meaning of famine, the purpose of confinement, and the glory of opportunity. Why doesn't God stop the violence? Because God didn't start it in the first place. You see, when God created us in His image, He gave us the power to choose our destiny, but not the destiny of others. I think that when God created man, He did it out of a longing to share works bestowed upon the earth, i.e., God's creation of a flower, the sequoia forest, or a hummingbird, are small miracles that unfold into master plans that revolve around never-ending cycles of self-regeneration. I think that the world we live in now was created solely by us. Yes, we chose all of the hurt, all of the violence, all of the pain and suffering. We also chose rewards for our sacrifices, the love and caring, the smile of our loved ones, the smell of the roses, the touch of another, the freedom to be free, the wisdom to look ahead, and the fail-safe system so we wouldn't become confused by it all. I believe that God is our mentor, teacher, and guide. He loves us and wants to watch us grow. He knows we can't walk without skinning our knees. He knows we can't live without the knowledge of hate. He sees the future when there is no future up ahead. The result is a soulmate to share what He has created. How wonderful it will be to co-create a butterfly, to supervise a sunset, to feel His warm, loving hands on our back for a job well done. Most religions are so naive. I also believe that in 10 lifetimes, one soul could never accumulate enough knowledge to even say Gaga to the Supreme Being. Look at the stars, the endless universe. We see in 3 dimensions. Imagine how many dimensions there are, just in the physical world. As we learn, as we grow, we will be rewarded 10 times 10 for every forward step and penalized 10 times for every backward step. I would think that most people would say, well, how will we ever reach our final destination if this is the case? With God, there is no time or space, only love. His patience stretches the far reaches of the pluriverse. Sure, he could say, presto, you now know what I know. Would that accomplish our ultimate goal of companionship? No. Look at our existence. What variables are tossed in front of us? Mere chance? I think not. He helps us by teaching, understanding, and not by interfering unless asked first. When we finally realize something has fallen into our pathway, by no means of our own, we will be on the path of enlightenment and the road to discovery. Let's open our eyes and think about numbers, for example. Look at how numbers influence our everyday life. We could not exist without them. How about music? Look at all of the messages that are sent by just one song. Feelings. Where would you and I be without feelings? Physical reality. What would life be like if we could not touch anything? Perception. Now here is a word within itself. If we teach ourselves using all of these common, everyday planes of existence, we will succeed in accelerated advancement and knowledge accumulation. In short, our search for knowledge will grow by the power of wisdom. Perception. When you get out of bed tomorrow morning before your feet hit the floor, imagine what it would be like if there were no floor. Just another person on a life raft in the middle of the ocean with no food. How about the smell of coffee? All of the simple everyday things we all take for granted could be misery to another soul. Let's look at the other side of the coin. What about the pain we feel every morning just getting out of bed? The foot pain associated with broken bones, arthritis, and shifting our perception of how another could be worse. How much we have to be thankful for and how our lives could become is the stuff miracles are made of. If you believe within your heart that God can heal your sore, aching back in the morning, He can and will. All that it takes is faith. If we believe that the pain will never subside, it will not. Attitude is just a word. Faith is a way of life. If every morning the dog brings you your paper, do you have faith he will do it tomorrow? If we never watch a sunset, does that mean the sun won't set tomorrow? When we are reunited at his side, armed with the knowledge of untold ages and perceptions, we can truly appreciate the value of a tree. I hope that this helps. The soul, essence, manifestation, entity, and being. Different words with the same meaning, different ways of looking at them. Someone once described it as a never-ending wind, blowing to and fro with nowhere to land and nowhere to go. Perception. A simple task of ordering breakfast can become a complicated interaction. For example, 4 people walk into a Denny's. All speak French and most speak English, but only one places the order. From this point forward, all English-based communication is filtered through this single soul, even when this soul is not directly involved in the subject matter. Taking it to another level, 4 Americans walk into a French restaurant. All 4 will speak, and all 4 will order their food. In most cultures, aside from America, unity, delegation, and simplification of the communication process is a practiced attribute when dealing with others. Here is an exercise called perceptual thinking that helps us focus on new ideas, concentrate on old habits, justify new actions, and develop self-improving techniques of self-awareness. The next time you change your appearance, the next time you put on a watch, chain, or some other ornamental attire, imagine how you would do it, and practice the same if you were left-handed, one-armed, wheelchair-bound, quadriplegic, during a bout of depression, anxiety, after an all-nighter of lovemaking, drinking, talking, sleeping, immediately following a crisis, increase in monetary status, or just plain hungover. All of these states seem to motivate us into an alternative awareness, hindering the present decision-making process and requiring us to maintain complex strategies to enable simple, everyday behavior. By stimulating each of these circumstances, combined with more personal talents and strategies compiled by you, we become more attuned and can subconsciously accept and understand a lot of the environmental and social conflicts that burden society. Those little things that used to bother us become figments of passing memories, no longer requiring immediate attention. When situations arise, our minds create complex data searches dedicated to locating the closest possible scenario that has happened in our past and that matches our current situation, sometimes creating a feeling of emotional trauma or confusion. By effectively simulating all of the possible perceptions and different angles and dissecting common behavior patterns, we can create alternative solutions, paving neural networks of synapse highways, or just get smarter. When you have a headache, the kids are screaming, the phone is ringing, the rain's pouring, and a wasp gets in the house, we won't overreact because we will have already prepared for it by perceptual thinking. By enjoying what we already have, imagining life without them, or life altered by extenuating circumstances, such as a sunroof when it's raining, a wheelchair for a man without arms, a collar for a chicken, or anything else we can imagine, we effectively manipulate our subconscious mind with intertwined pathways from alternative sources linked to common objectives. So, without consciously thinking about our current situation, our mind will focus on possible solutions to anticipated behavior patterns, giving us intuitive mindsets capable of eliminating the need for crisis management. Isn't it weird when we approach a situation requiring immediate adult supervision in an area in which we have no prior experience, but are forced into acting? Usually, we find the correct solution without outside assistance. This process of perceptual thinking is an everyday occurrence. We sometimes fail to recognize it. Practice makes perfect. Imagined dreams become reality. If we write it down, it will come to pass. Why not use our 90% brain to accomplish our 10% lifestyle and increase and build highways of information? If we get a thought on our mind or a dream we can't stop thinking about, maybe it is our mind's way of telling us that a perpetual search is being established to locate a goal. By perceptual thinking through the situation and imagining every perceptual way of looking at the situation that is troubling or healing us, our minds will accelerate into the computerized database, sequential data gatherers that we were created to become. Help yourself. I think that every soul has a higher self that keeps us in kilter with our current dimension. When either of these worlds is threatened or intermingled without the adequate support necessary to accommodate accurate translation, without perceptually thinking, catastrophic circumstances could abound in every direction, or we could just become mute to ourselves. Behaviorally managed, focused, and productive souls will forge the pathway for newer, enlightened surroundings. That does it for our final experience. Let me know if they confused you as much as they confused me. I don't want to say that these people were fibbing, but I just can't help but wonder if it was nothing more than figments of their imagination. Until the next video, stay safe and continue to be blessed.